brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Hey, welcome to the Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. We are the best thing on at 2 a.m. and we thank you for choosing to listen to us instead of the Far West Texas surf reports. Do you think that those sound like Texas waves?
They sound like they're wearing a hat. Yeah,
a little bit longer, a little lower. We'll get to hear some of the Far West Texas Surf Report on a clip today. You don't want to miss that, and you definitely don't want to miss this show. I'm one of your hosts here at the table, good old boy Mike, and joining me here on this show is good old boy Harmeet.
Well, thank you for having me.
I am going to say, yeah, that works. I'm going to say that works. And Made Man Bob is joining us again as well.
It's always good to be here.
Bob is joining us from the Bourbon Mafia, which we'll learn more about at the end of the show today. This episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
You can't learn too much about the Bourbon Mafia.
This episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes is sponsored by Fine Spirits, Wine, and Liquor. Check out the Enomatic machines to sample great products by the glass, including great selections of bourbon and whiskey. You can reach them online at www.finespirits.net. Well, our Sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. It's a full hour episode that will be mildly entertaining for about 22 minutes. So,
Boy, that's a high number for us.
Today.
Wow.
Well, 18, 22 minutes, wherever we hit, yeah. So my soft goal today is actually not to offend any people of Virginia before the first segment break. I'm wondering if that'll happen.
Me first from there.
I don't know. It's a soft goal. That's all I have to say.
Took her back.
I had to send her back.
Well, today is actually a full distillery takeover show covering A. Smith Bowman, originally out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Sometimes a distillery actually makes more than one product, and A. Smith Bowman has lots of history, both with the country and with liquor, making some of the first versions of these products on U.S. soil. We're going to talk about several products from A. Smith today, and here are those products we're going to cover, taste, and review. Deep Run Vodka, Sunset Hills Gin, George Bowman Aged Rum, John J. Bowman Single Barrel Whiskey. I sound like I'm reading it like a, some auditory. Bowman Brothers. Bowman Brothers Small Batch Whiskey. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the limited edition in the Abraham Bowman series at the end of the show as well. So we have a really great lineup to talk about from A. Smith Bowman. And I've asked Bob to cover some of the background on A. Smith Bowman. It's time to fire up some good old Virginia music. Take her away there, Bob.
Got it. A. Smith Bowman bought the Sunset Hills Estate Farm in 1927 and opened up a dairy and granary. The farm was so abundant he needed to use for the excess grain from his fields. In 1935, after the repeal of Prohibition in the state of Virginia, he built and licensed a distillery.
That sounds like an excuse.
Well,
he just wanted to make whiskey.
Hey, he had a license. That's better than a lot of people. His sons maintained that tradition, continuing to feed the distillers' grains to the dairy cattle, which made them extremely happy. Let's see. As a small and American family-owned company, A. Smith Bowman balances time-honored traditions with innovative and creatively to produce handcrafted spirits. Distilled from the finest ingredients, the premium products created at A. Smith Bowman Distillery honor the legacy and groundbreaking spirit of Virginia's pioneers. Until the 50s, the Bowman Distillery was the only legal distillery operation in Virginia, underlining the word legal. In 1947, Bowman acquired 3,240 additional acres, making the tract the largest privately owned property in the D.C. metro area until the 60s. It was then sold to real estate developers. About 60 acres, including the distillery, was sold back to Bowman's Sons, and they continued to operate until 1988. Because of the rising real estate costs, the distillery eventually moved to the Fredericksburg area, where to this day they continue to produce innovative small batch whiskey, gin, rum, and vodka. You can visit the current distillery for a complimentary tour and learn about the journey from still to bottle, as well as the mashing and barrel aging processes. Once in the barrel room, you'll experience the Angel's Share. Bowen's Mary Ahearn tells us the Angel's Share is the great aroma that you smell when you walk into the distillery, part of the bourbon that we are sharing with the angels. The copper still also carries her as the namesake, and it's named Mary. Bowman's spirits are made on 2 copper stills. Again, one named Mary, the other is named George. Copper has been used for generations in whiskey distilling because it removes the sulfur compounds from alcohol, resulting in a better tasting spirit. Both stills were custom made by Vendome Copper and Brass Works in Kentucky. Mary is the workhorse that distills Bowman's bourbon. George was installed in February, is considered experimental. Their master distiller, Brian Pruitt, has been distilling a wide array of spirits for many years. His foodie mentality translates into the bottle via unique flavors and recipes. Every few months, Bowman releases a new expression under the Abraham Bowman Limited Edition label, and these are typically small batches and sell out fairly quickly. In 2003, the Sazerac Company purchased the distillery and began investing in renovation and looking to update the product line. When longtime master distiller Joe Dangler retired, the mantle of master distillery was handed to Truman Cox, the mad scientist from Buffalo Trace, who brought his interest in creating solid traditional bourbon, as well as experimentation with him to his new home in Virginia. Under his stewardship, the new A. Smith Bowman continued to build upon itself a dedicated following, as seems to happen with just about anything that Sazerac buys. A. Smith Bowman is still the home of Virginia gentlemen.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate the overview and background of A. Smith Bowman. Well, if you're keeping track, so far so good. I've managed to get this far and not offend anyone for Virginia, but it's still young in the episode.
The only reason you haven't offended anyone, you had to let Bob do all the talking.
Well, that's part of my tactic, see. So, it's all about strategery.
Family in Virginia as well as North Carolina, so I can equally offend either one.
Well, we had a contest of who could pull off the best Virginia accent, and Bob won that contest.
That's just racist.
Well,
Well, we do like racing in Virginia.
Oh well. You're going to get the honor of going over the SIPS ratings.
Do it, Bob. He did it right.
You said racing, right? With cars?
Oh, yes.
Well, we'd be tasting and discussing these fine here drinks and rating them with these SIPS ratings plus our signature sounds. Here are the ratings now. 1. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Gangadin, water. Gangadin, bring water. Bring water.
I like that. That's that's like a full blown foghorn leghorn. Yeah, I like that. So yeah.
Mike, you need to do the chicken hawk.
You mean it's racist? You're the one that gave him that clip.
Well, it was my grandfather in that clip.
It was from his high school prom, but let's see here. 2, nice. But what else y'all have?
Well, isn't that nice?
It's the draw off, y'all. I like there.
3, interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4, let's keep this a secret to ourselves and pour me another.
That's classified.
And 5, oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness!
Yes!
Wow, that was really good. I can almost
You just channel your inner Foghorn Leghorn and Robert E. Lee and sort of combine them.
I'm sitting next to him, and he doesn't look like the Colonel I was envisioning.
No.
There's no mustache. There's no cane. When he was speaking that, I saw the cigar.
I
There's
look like
no
the
cigar
guy living
here.
under the bridge, but
Well, the thing I like is, he sounds like he's either has relatives from there or he has spent way too much time watching those cartoons. I'm not really quite sure which one it is. Probably both.
And Lynchburg down near Danville, and then they go down a little bit more into the western part of North Carolina where they have a little bit different kind of an accent. Then the family originally came down from Charleston, and down in Charleston they have a very particular kind of drawl. So
I love that. World-class whiskey expert and voice actor.
It's creepy when you start heading into places like Louisiana and it starts mixing in with Creole. So,
yeah, it is creepy. I lived there for a while.
Well, let's get to our first product for today. We have lots of great products to talk about from A. Smith Bowman. And first up, we're going to talk about the vodka, which is called Deep Run Virginia Vodka. Here's a few particulars about the vodka. This is declared clear. It is 80 proof in the bottle, and it's gone through distillation 7 times. Here's just a few notes about this. It's vodka. There you go. That's my tasting notes, from the bottler itself. So they just declare this as a Virginia-style vodka. Not really a whole lot more beyond that. When I first saw this, I'm like, I'm really wondering what this is going to be like. I was like, is this going to be close to a grain vodka or a potato vodka, or is it going to have be completely neutral? So we'll get right into it here. First up is Harmeet with your tasting notes on Deep Run.
Okay, so from my background, I'll tell you now, I do taste a lot of vodkas side by side. In this case, we didn't have vodkas to compare, and so it's just sitting by itself. It was harder to do it that way. When you have a comparison of different vodkas, you can actually really focus in on the flavor and components of the nose as well. I see here this is classified as an uncommon vodka. And I think that you take that from the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons ratings as 1 out of every 100 monsters you incur. But I have never seen this before. I know it's available down here. Apparently, the price is mid-range and like a premium vodka. What did it taste like? Not so much premium. The nose was, fairly medicinal. It wasn't a great or gentle nose. It was, and when we did this in Glencairn glasses, which is not perfect for vodka, but really good still. A little bit of acetone on there. I didn't appreciate the nose. The texture of the vodka was really nice. They didn't add any glycerin to this like some horrible offenders from countries like Sweden. So it didn't feel slippery. It wasn't super sweet. Look, there wasn't a lot of residual sugar left. It is distilled dry. I mean, and it did finish a little bit bitter. That I found is the fault. So I didn't really quite like the mouthfeel, and I mean, it's decent mixing vodka, but it's probably too expensive for mixing vodka. And I give it 2. I didn't want to give it 2
Well, isn't that nice?
Nice, but what else do you have? All right. So, Bob, what do you think about Deep Run vodka here?
It's vodka. It puzzles me when somebody spends that much time and effort to make a distilled spirit and keep working on it and working on it and working on it to try and make it taste like as nothing as they possibly can. I'm a whiskey guy. I'm not a real vodka guy. I've tried quite a few, especially hanging out with this guy. I thought it was a fairly decent vodka. Nothing really leaped out at me that I said, was a huge fault. I did notice, as he said, I didn't pick up that glycerin slipperiness that a lot of European vodkas will add glycerin to it to give it a little bit more of a thicker mouthfeel. All in all, a fairly average vodka. Again, I've got to agree with Harm, a little expensive for what it is. Coming from a smaller distillery, a lot of times, economies of scale things are a little more expensive. I gave it a 2.
Well,
2 as
isn't
well.
that nice?
Nice, but what else do you have? Well, I like several points that Harmeet was making there about it is very difficult to taste vodkas as a standalone. It is kind of nice to have some other reference, standards around when you are tasting vodkas. So I did not do that today either, and I think I might go back and do that, here on a break to kind of check things out, against some other vodkas. My tasting notes on Deep Run, I wrote down it had some grain and some flavor to it. It didn't taste like it was, a potato vodka.
Not at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even close to some of the things like that. It does have some flavor. It has like a hint of sweetness, both on the nose as well as within the taste itself. And the main thing I wrote down is this is not neutral. So a lot of people always think that vodka is completely odorless and flavorless, and that's not entirely true about all vodkas.
I don't think there's a single vodka out there that really is like that. I've never tasted one.
Yeah, I know that. I always find it interesting when people make that comment and they go, "Well, there's no flavor to this at all." And I think until you sit down and taste 5 or 6 vodkas all in a row, I think you'll begin to understand the nuances of flavors in between them. I agree that the flavor profile, between many of these things is very hard maybe to discern specifically the differences between them, but when you definitely have flavor there, you can recognize it. And like I said, this was not neutral and had just a hint of sweetness on the nose. I actually like this. I didn't want to put it in a category of premium. I think there are some other things maybe in this price point that I probably enjoy a little bit better, but all in all, I thought it was okay. I just gave it a solid 3.
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Well, we've enjoyed a bit of some background as well as a few products that we've gone over so far. And listen, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come right back, and we'll talk more about A. Smith Bowman's products.
Wait, you didn't have any Virginians yet.
Hey, welcome back here to the West Texas Surf Report. Whoa, that wave was better than watching one shooting range off a Playa Baghdad, picking off white boys from South Padre on shortboards right before sunrise. That's a pretty good impression. When you hear the clip later, you'll go, I've missed my true calling to be the West Texas Surf
There's a
Report.
real show like that.
Picture this 6'5" guy in a Speedo with a hat and boots, with a spit cup and Bo Cephas sticker on the back of the surf.
I agree. That's exactly what I had in mind as well when I was listening to that for the first time. So, hey, listen, thanks for coming back to...
Red Speedo.
You're actually listening to Sip, Suds, and Smokes. Today's show is on A. Smith Bowman. It's a distillery out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're going through several products that they make there, and we're having some fun along the way talking about some other things you could be listening to instead of us as well. Well, next up is going to be the Sunset Hills Gin, and we have a little bit of some controversy about exactly what type of gin this is going to be. Liquid.
Clear.
Well, here's a little bit of information about the Sunset Hills Gin. Again, this is 80 proof. It is made in the U.S. Here are a little bit of some information from A. Smith about this. They have some tasting notes that they offer up. They actually declare this was not English gin, but it is made to complement their English heritage. So I don't know if we're declaring this London Dry or English gin, but here are some of the flavor profiles anyway. It has, they're declaring as juniper, licorice, lemon peel, rose petal, and cucumber are some of the tasting notes that you'll pick up off of this particular gin. So
those are the actual ingredients.
those are actual ingredients, you think? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're right. I misread that. Those are the ingredients in the bottle. Well, hopefully some of those we'll pick up on in our tasting notes. Well, Harmeet, why don't you go through your tasting notes here on Sunset Hills Gin from A. Smith Bowman?
I didn't have too many notes on this one because it was really a straightforward gin. I noticed in one of the packet materials I saw, they classify this as traditional London Dry. Well, I mean, it's traditional. It's not London Dry. London Dry gin starts at 86 proof and goes up. This is an 80 proof gin. This is definitely an American-style gin. And the recipe, to me, suggests some Scottish elements. There's some famous Scottish gins. Can I name drop other ones?
Sure, go ahead. Knock yourself out.
The very first gin I ever tried that was featured prominently rose petal and cucumber is Scottish gin. That's Hendrick's. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some other ones that do that as well.
I figured it'd be haggis, but what do I know?
Haggis-flavored gin is a specialty.
Yeah. It's right next to the birthday cake flavored vodka, I think.
Hey, if we manage to get the word spotted dick in this episode, that's what I'm aiming for. So...
this is a medical show too now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. There you go. What was that? I made it 24 minutes and I've offended somebody. Maybe not the people in Virginia, but anyway.
Don't worry. You can get a shot. It'll go away.
Dessert or an enemy.
We're talking about bad English food and gin today on Sip, Suds, and Smokes.
So, this is actually decent gin. It was very well made. Let's get back to the topic. I'm getting very uncomfortable with your spotted dick jokes.
I'll put my pants back on.
Oh, there's the cigar. Mm-hmm. Juniper, totally. It's beautiful, nice juniper, pine. The cucumber is very light. There's a hint of citrus. Adding water really brings this up because, to drink gin, if you're going to make a cocktail out of it, that's one thing. If you make a martini should be shaken or stirred on ice. And when you do that, you not only just chill the drink properly, you actually release a little bit of water. Water releases the essential oils in the drink. So the licorice came out, which was not too much. The citrus was better, but that really brought out the rose petal and cucumber more. But it was still subdued to some like the other Scottish gins I mentioned, Cow Run and Hendrick's. It was a little more subdued, a little more held back. I guess that's their Virginia style. And I gave it 2 sips.
Well, isn't that
2 sips, nice. But what else do you have? Bob, you're up next. Why don't you tell us what you thought about Sunset Hills Gin?
I thought it was a decent gin. I don't drink a lot of gin. I've got a friend who's an importer. He brings in a lot of gins and Genevers from Holland, so he's bringing in some really high-end crazy stuff. But, a warm mouthfeel, a good mouthfeel to it, definite licorice up front, the juniper, the evergreen, definitely evergreen nose. On the finish, long, lingering licorice. And as Harm said, when you add water to it, it really helps bring it out. The rose petal especially comes out with the addition of the water, and the cucumber definitely comes out with the addition of water. I gave it a 3.
A 3, how about that?
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Well, I really enjoyed Harmeet's tasting notes around this. And the stark comparison, against Hendrick's, I thought that was headed that way, although it's not that. There are several things that when I'm having a gin that I'm probably looking for. It definitely, is this a herbal or floral, based gin? There are some gins where, they don't have that, characteristic. The fact that, they declared one of the ingredients as juniper right off the bat told me, hey, this is headed to, herbal gin town, for sure. So, some of my tasting notes around Sunset Hills, I wrote down it was floral. It was very herbal. You can definitely pick up on the juniper. There's kind of a citrus element both on the nose as well as within when you're tasting it. I wrote down window cleaner, and actually that's a good thing, not a bad thing here. Okay?
The good kind of window cleaner.
The good kind of window cleaner that you would drink. Yeah, right. There's sometimes when you pick up a cleaning product, you go, this, you can smell, the hot elements of maybe the alcohol, if it is an alcohol based, a window cleaner, but they usually put in, something that smells, really nice as well. When I was smelling this, I'm like, yeah, I've actually smelled window cleaner that smells a lot like that. But, the one thing I wrote down, and I'm actually going to use this word more than once today, is it's actually smooth. I agree with Harmeet. I don't drink a lot of gins straight up and neat. There's one that I do that with, and it's Uncle Val's. That's a fantastic gin. And there's so many herbs in Uncle Val's.
It's not just the number of herbs. Uncle Val's uses fresh botanicals.
Yeah.
They actually steam them inside in the still. They're hanging in a basket inside the still. You have vapor distillation. I would bet money that this is dried herbs in the what's the name of this stuff again?
Sunset Hills gin.
Sunset Hills. What was that again? 2 sips, right?
Well, my sips rating for Sunset Hills is actually going to be a 4.
That's classified.
Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Give me another. And, I
use this.
Yeah, I can definitely see sitting down and making some gin and tonics with these, in the very near future. And, yeah, I'm probably going to line it up and compare this against, some other gins that other that we've had on the show, or we have that we have not actually reviewed. Uncle Val's on a very early episode. We've covered St. George. I think just one of the St. George gins I think we've covered on here. The one that's the terroir gin. Some of the other ones we haven't covered from St. George yet, but we will maybe in a show in the future.
Uncle Val's gins or just the one?
I'm sorry, say that again, Harmeet.
Uncle Val's has 2 different gins now. They have a restorative and a botanical. Did you do both or just the one?
I think that we just did the botanical is the one we reviewed here on the show. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think the restorative was out when
really new.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a couple years ago. I can't remember back that far. There were a few drinks between here and there.
There were a few drinks between here and the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, it's time to swing it to another side of the world, man. Can't talk about rum without thinking about Jamaican reggae music, that's for sure, because we're going to be talking about George Bowman's aged rum. And you guys are...
This America, you should be playing some Jimmy Buffett, boy.
Jimmy Buffett, when I'm talking about rum.
Rum drink.
Well, does yeah, I was about to say, is any of the Jimmy Buffett, the Margaritaville rum or the Blue Chair rum, is any of that even made on U.S. soil, or is it just branded here?
I know Margaritaville is bottled in Bardstown.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it.
I went through the bottling line one time at Barton a couple of years ago, and I saw pallets of the stuff.
And it's imported from Mexico. Tequila has to be made in Jalisco, and I think now Chihuahua. They may have opened a third place they can actually make tequila, though.
They put Chihuahua in it?
Chihuahua.
Only in the small bottles, right?
Yeah, but they're allowed to bottle it in America. It's for the lower quality tequilas. They can ship over here. Well, but it's all made there.
Were they playing Bob Marley in Bardstown, or were they playing Jimmy Buffett? I have this.
Yeah, man. We walked into the bottling line, and they're pouring the rum in the bottles. It was magnificent.
I have this strange, picture going into my head, going, "Stir it up, little darling, stir it." It's good music. I like this. This is good rum. Just got like this whole picture going through my head. All right.
What, boy, you shot the sheriff?
Barmaid. I can't. No, we can't do that song.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
No.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of information on the background on this. This is actually declared as an aged rum. There are several different types of rum. We'll have a show in the future, kind of a rum 101 show. There's like Navy rum, then there's white rum, aged rum, then there's very, very old, aged rum as well. So this one is declared as aged rum.
I noticed there's no age statement on this aged rum.
Yeah, I think that I saw. I'm just going to shoot from the hip. I want to say it was like 8 years. Was kind of the average on this rum. I don't believe that it's like a vintage. I think it's like 8 to 10 years is what they were aiming for.
I'd be surprised for 8 months.
8 months. Well, we'll see. We'll do that in post-production research, and then I'll come back and correct myself. So this is 80 proof. That much I got right. It is after the namesake George Bowman, and this is the George Bowman aged rum. Harmeet, your tasting notes on this product.
Actually, I thought it was a nice nose, a little tropical, mango and banana, and some blackstrap molasses, slightly floral. Let's see. It's hard to read this now. We've been drinking. It's nice.
That's just your handwriting.
Yeah, my handwriting just somehow got worse. The flavors were nice. It had a long finish. It was pretty good. I added a little bit of cold water to it to see if I can bring some more out. Didn't improve that much. It's more of a mixer, not a sipper. I don't think it was smooth enough to say this was an 8-year-old rum. It's got to be. It's got to be young. I gave it 3 sips.
3 sips. How about that?
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again, Bob? Your tasting notes on George Bowman's aged rum.
It had a very, very smooth nose to it. Picked up some coconut, some tropical fruit. On the palate, very sweet up front, molasses, brown sugar. All in all, a pretty decent rum. I gave it a 3.
A 3. How about that?
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Well, I've certainly tasted a lot of rums, and I did, and I sing along with Bob Marley at the same time. It helps me. So I'm just taking another sniff and swirl of this as well. I think the one thing that hits me up front about this is butterscotch. This is, has a butterscotch or a caramel, sweetness to it, both on the nose as well as when you taste it.
Because I want to smell this butterscotch.
Yep, definitely. That is totally butterscotch.
Right. I missed that the first time. I don't know.
You horrible man.
It's there. It's good.
That's right. We're here to help each other, man. It's one love, one life.
Don't you have any Jimmy Buffett in your soundboard somewhere?
Negative for today. No Jimmy Buffett.
Negative.
I have some really bad memories of Buffett concerts that don't end well, and there are way too many pictures. So, I don't think
you have a memory of a Jimmy Buffett concert.
There you go. That would be it. Yeah.
Oh.
I think the first time I saw Buffett was actually in Florida. So I at least remember the state that I was in, Bob. So that is a good thing,
State of inebriation.
I remember most people with their clothes on. So, the rest is a bit of a blur out of that experience. So, yeah, I think I was probably maybe a sophomore in college at the time. Yeah, it was definitely a pretty wild
Those were
time.
still on? You were a failure as a sophomore.
Well, it's contributed to the fact that I'm overeducated and overpaid, so...
Sorry, I interrupted your tasting note. So butterscotch,
yeah.
And I love it. That's good.
Yeah, butterscotch, it had almost like a bit of a leathery, kind of earthiness to it. Some rums you have are, really, quick on and off. This one kind of was hanging around, on your palate. So I don't know if that's just a component of some of the aging, itself, but it had a nice finish to it. I think probably with some of the other aged rums, that I've had, I don't know that I would use the same word, which is smooth. This is smooth. I'm enjoying it neat here. I did add a little bit of water to see if anything else changed, and not really. Just tasted like rum with a little bit of water. After that as well.
Would you have this on the rocks, or would you mix this? I thought this was better for mixing.
I would probably mix this. I don't know that I would. I don't know that I would bring anything that would add any more sugar, to it at all. Yeah.
Sweet.
I would probably go after some things that would bring both citrus and salt, around this, to kind of surround some of the sweetness, within the rum itself, to kind of round things out.
You're making me thirsty, boy.
I agree with Harmeet. I think it definitely drinks younger. I'd really like to see what this would taste like if they gave it another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll sit down.
I'd really open up even more.
Yeah, I'd sit down and I need to research exactly, what was the aging, component around this for sure. We'll post.
It's got to be a blend of several years. I'm sure it's not one batch.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're always trying to maintain a certain flavor profile. Well, my sips rating here for the George Bowman aged rum is actually going to be a 4 once again.
That's classified.
Interesting. I'm sorry. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Give me another. Is our sips 4 rating? Well, we're swinging on around to one of our favorite topics, which is whiskey, and the next product up is going to be.
Hey.
I have applause. We can get to it. We do talk about a lot of things on this show. So I tell you what. Actually, I'm going to. Let's see. I'm just checking out our time here. Listen, we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the John J. Bowman Single Barrel right after that. So we'll be right back.
You've reached the Far West Texas Surf Report. This is Punch Kennedy with your Dawn Patrol report for
Wednesday, August 12th.
I didn't quite know what to expect this morning. There's a mix of swell in the water. A short period swell from the west, stirred up by a local storm front. Whiffs of horse stalls and spilt beers in the air. And something a little more ancient feeling. A southerly groundswell traveling all the way from the equator, carrying subtle notes of coffee and agave. It ain't easy predicting how a combination like this will present itself at the breaks.
That's pretty deep for a surf report carrying coffee all the way from the equator.
I remember that monologue. That was on Apocalypse Now, right? No. Going into the village, something about wanting to fight or something.
I think this guy was wearing the same outfit. Well, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. You were catching up with the West Texas Surf Report, which is the other show on at this time on another station, so we didn't want you to miss any of those deep thoughts. Plus, I'm glad that I could brush up on my Texas accent. I am with Bob. I have this mental picture of my head with a guy on a longboard with a pair of chaps and a Speedo and a cowboy hat.
Got a bandana around his neck, looks like Robert Duvall and Apocalypse Now. Yeah. That's it.
There's nothing like something but the smell of seaweed in the morning with a hint of coffee that's carried from the equator.
I'm sorry, but this is Fort Lauderdale, and I've been to those parties. That boy's not surfing.
No.
He's not.
He's something, but it's not surfing.
Well, we have another great product to talk about here from A. Smith Bowman, the John J. Bowman Single Barrel. So this is a whiskey from A. Smith Bowman. Let's see. Here's a little bit of background on this particular product. Early pioneer Colonel John J. Bowman first explored Kentucky in 1775. 4 years later, he moved his family to Lincoln County, where they were among the earliest settlers of Kentucky. He presided over Kentucky's first county court and was also appointed the first military commander and governor of Kentucky County. He was the great-great uncle of Abraham Bowman, founder of Virginia A. Smith Bowman Distillery, and we're talking about the single barrel version, which actually commemorates this early American pioneer. Some of the tasting notes from the distillery itself, excuse me, is they declare it has hints of toffee, leather, figs, and almonds on the nose. The palate is a taste of smooth and well-rounded, with a touch of figs and almonds. It's supposed to have a long, dry finish. Again, this is 100 proof. It's aged 10 years, and it's declared a bourbon. So that's a little bit about the John J. Bowman single barrel that we're enjoying today. Harmeet, what do you think about this product?
I'm retasting it as we speak, and I really enjoyed this one. I didn't get the almonds. I liked their tasting note, but I didn't get the almonds. It's a nice corn sweetness, some caramel and fig, and it was, as you were going to use several times today, smooth. Mm-hmm. It's a bit hot at 100 proof, but smooth. And what I loved was just a few drops of water kicked up that nose a lot, and it just was warm and inviting and pretty, but not overly complex. I still don't get the almonds, and I gave it a 4.
A 4, how about that?
That's classified.
Let's keep the secret to ourselves. Pour me another. Bob, what do you think about the John J. Bowman single barrel?
Well, I picked up the scent of tamales and agave coming up from the Ecuador. I think he's picking up the scent of something from south of the border, but I don't think that it's agave.
That was the Rio Grande surf report.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely got the leather notes on the nose, toffee, brown sugar, a little bit of vanilla on the palate. Very mouth-warming, very mouth-coating. I didn't pick up the almonds, but I definitely picked up the leather notes. I picked up the vanilla. I picked up the oak. Good finish, slightly dry, medium length, too long finish. All in all, a very solid bourbon. I've had it many times before, and it's something that I will continue to buy. I give it a 4.
A 4 as well.
That's classified.
Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another. Well, my tasting notes here on the John J. Bowman single barrel. The first thing I wrote down is it had kind of a sweet caramel nose, kind of earthy leather. I agree with Harmeet. Just really a drop or two of water really kind of opened this up, and this is the first time I've had this product today. I've not had it at a previous tasting, and so it was kind of great to just taste something with a unabated, impression of, what this is or what it could be.
Me too. Timers here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me too.
I know. Sorry, I was taking another swig there. So the caramel is it is kind of a bit burnt. And I don't know that I would go all the way saying with toffee, because I guess when I think of toffee, it's something way sweeter than what this is, and it's not that sweet. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to use that same word again, which is smooth. I don't know if that's just a mark of the artist, of the real skill that it takes of something that really is this pleasing and this smooth, but. Again, I really like this. This is a very solid product. My SIPS rating for the J. Bowman single barrel is going to be a 4.
That's classified.
Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another, and I would definitely say that, with this product. This is a good start. I'll have another of one of those.
And I like how Bob pointed out the mouthfeel. I'd skip that. I think the mouthfeel of this is just pretty, really beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
product. It really is. It's very well made.
It is. Well, it kind of sets things up for, I think, really talking about some of the remaining, products that are, kind of looking down the line of whiskeys, that they have as well. So next up is going to be the Bowman Brothers Small Batch, which is another whiskey from A. Smith Bowman. And here's a little description about this particular product. This small batch bourbon has been distilled 3 times until the finest corn, rye, and malted barley. After many years of aging in new charred oak barrels, the 90-proof Virginia bourbon whiskey will please even the most discerning palate. The nose is warm like the Virginia summer and is complex flavor with hints of vanilla and oak, while the finish is smooth and mellow like a quiet night on the front porch. Enjoy straight over ice or with a splash of water.
Wow, that was written by an ad guy.
Definitely. I don't think that I can write that eloquent, that's for sure.
Like the malted Marley, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you given to spoonerisms, or is that just the malted barley speaking? Malted Marley, sorry.
I think that description, you need a little bit of bluegrass, flowing in the background. Well, the nose on this is warm like the Virginia summer. Complex flavor, has hints of... I don't have enough foghorn leghorn in this, do I?
Oh, no, I say, son, no, you do not have enough in you.
Hey, partner, I'm telling you, it's a complex flavor with hints of vanilla and oak. I say. The finish on this is smooth and mellow like a quiet night on the front porch. So...
had me a quiet night on the front porch.
Okay.
It's always about the dog barking and somebody with a shotgun and damn kids with their firecrackers.
Don't talk about your first wedding. It's over, okay? Get over it. It's been years. Move on.
Is my wife here? What's going on?
Just move on.
I'm glad there are no swords in this discussion whatsoever yet. So the ABV on this, the proof on this is 90 proof, and it is declared a bourbon. Harmeet, what'd you think about the Bowman Brothers Small Batch?
I liked it a lot without water. I got a lot of vanilla, and there was tropical fruit on this one. Some mango, some coconut coming out. I really enjoyed it. Smooth, as you said. The warmth of that Virginia night brings back bad memories. It was warm, and it was good. And I did try a little I did add more water, and it did bring the coconut up, but other than that, I didn't think it needed it at all, and I give it 3 stars.
3.
Interesting.
Interesting. What was that again? Bob, what do you think about the Bowman Brothers Small Batch?
Had a nice nose, definitely. Vanilla, slight bit of oak. You could smell the caramel on the palate. The fruit really did seem to come out. A hint of coconut, a little bit of tropical fruit, a little bit of melon in the back. Overall, a good, solid whiskey. I give it a 3.
Another 3 as well. Interesting. What was that again?
After retasting it, I'm leaning towards 4, but I'd still like that single barrel better.
I think that this had some different characteristics, than the single barrel itself. I think probably the most distinctive element was the wood. There was probably a lot more vanilla and oak in this versus the single barrel. And I really thought those were the things that were kind of shining through in this particular product, more so than the single barrel version that we had earlier. I do think that it was. I'm going to use the same word again, smooth. It was very nice to drink. I actually did drop a full ice cube in this. I was just kind of curious, kind of what happened with this. Sitting on an ice cube, because I was wondering if the sweetness would, how that would kind of interplay with this. I actually did not like it better with ice, or cooling it down either. I tried it again here, just with a little bit of cold water, and I probably liked that a little bit better than I did with a full blown ice cube. I think this is another really solid product from A. Smith Bowman. My SIPS rating for the Bowman Brothers Small Batch is also a 4 as well.
That's classified.
Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another. And I would definitely probably say that again, with this product as well. Well, we've covered some great products from A. Smith, Bowman so far, and I wanted to kind of swing around and talk about a product that we actually don't really like to talk about, products that are not readily available, but I think it would be a tragedy to actually kind of omit talking about a great part of their product line. So the Abraham Bowman limited edition series is not something that we're going to review in a tremendous amount of detail. I want to talk a little bit about it, but it's still definitely worthy of discussion. There's some great products, but they're also in very limited supply. How limited, Bob?
Scary.
Yeah.
You'll see bits and pieces here and there, but unless you got a friend that lives near Fredericksburg, they're hard to get.
Yeah. Well, still, we see these products, periodically, and I have tasted several of these, and they're definitely worthy of talking about. Probably the most tragic part of the story is that Truman Cox, who we talked a little bit earlier, that actually came over from Buffalo Trace, really brought a true sense of adventure about making whiskey. He really had a lot of his thumbprints on really showing a lot of consumers a variety of things that you can do in making bourbon. He is most known for the Single Oak Project, which is a lineup from Buffalo Trace. And sadly, the thing is with this particular lineup, once he came to A. Smith Bowman, he started the Abraham Bowman series, and he died tragically at the age of 44. And so the vast majority of these products, he never got to see them come into the marketplace. And so we are enjoying the fruits of a lot of his labor. It'll be interesting to see how much of this, they continue with at A. Smith Bowman, with extending a lot of things in the limited edition line. There are about 12 different, there are about 12 different releases in the Abraham Bowman series out already. And these come out, it's like every 3 months, is that right? Or is it annually?
I think I want to say it comes out, 2 or 3 times a year. I don't know if they have a definite schedule on it, because it seems like you'll hear about one and then another one you won't hear anything for a while again. So.
Yeah. So I know you guys have had some of this. In fact, you probably have broken out a bottle right there to enjoy.
As we speak.
Yeah, I know you guys all too well. So tell us a little bit about what you're enjoying and what you kind of think about the Abraham Bowman series in general.
I've been a big fan of their products. I got to meet Truman several years ago at Whiskey Fest when they were really just starting to really come out, and you couldn't find a nicer guy and a guy who was just more excited at the prospect of where he was going with this. He was just you could tell this is a guy who just really enjoyed what he was doing and enjoyed talking about it. And he's at a giant show in New York City. There's hundreds of people in there talking to everyone, and he was kind enough to give me his card. I had a few questions. He would always respond. I mean, this is a busy guy. This is not one guy in a huge distillery with hundreds of employees. And he was just gracious with his time. Was just a really truly nice guy. It was just a tragic blow to lose him at that young of an age. I'm just hoping that they're going to continue to build on the basis of what he started, and from what I've gathered, it looks like they are. And we're just now really starting to enjoy some of the stuff I think that he had a hand in creating. I've got several bottles of the limited around here. I think I've got a bottle of the port somewhere. We're enjoying a taste of the last Millennium bottling.
Great bottle.
Excellent whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking. I just love the notes. This is much more complex than the other ones we tasted tonight. There is more nuttiness here. The almonds that I thought were missing in the single barrel are definitely here.
Yeah.
I'm just coming back to it, and I didn't put any water in the 100 proof. I may touch it. I may touch it up a little bit to see how it changes, but right now I don't feel compelled to do that. I'm just enjoying it.
But I have a half a case. Happy Christmas.
This one gets a 5.
Yeah.
Wow, how about that?
Oh my goodness!
Yes! 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 Yes!
Well, I think that is definitely the impression that most consumers have of the Abraham Bowman series, and I think that if you have the good fortune to be able to pick up a bottle in that series, definitely avail yourself of that opportunity and taste it and drop us a note. Let us know what you think about what particular version you picked up, and we'd love to hear back from you on that as well. Well, we've had a great discussion of the A. Smith Bowman Distillery and these products today, and hopefully you've enjoyed the discussion. We'll wrap up our episode for today. Well, you can catch all of our episodes online on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sip Suds Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. We definitely love your feedback as well, and you can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. You can reach Harmeet online at harmeet@sipsudsandsmokes.com, or you can reach Bob at mademanbob@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter, and you can reach us online at SipSudSmoke is our handle on Twitter. Our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Listen, do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a great big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. This episode of Sip Suds and Smokes is sponsored by Fine Spirits, Wine, and Liquor. Check out the Enomatic machines to sample great products by the glass, including great selections of bourbon and whiskey. You can reach them online at www.finespirits.net. Well, I definitely want to thank our host for being here today. Bob, if you want to take a minute, share with our audience a little bit more about the Bourbon Mafia.
The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization. We're comprised of high-end bourbon enthusiasts and members of the spirits and service industry. With representation in 10 states, the group raises money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other bourbon-themed events. It's a great group of guys.
It is, and I'm very proud that we get to borrow Bob from that organization, and I'm sure that they teach him common dialects across various parts of the country to bring here to our show.
Yeah.
It's a nice byproduct of getting around with a good group of guys.
Bob has 17 types of hillbilly in his blood, but meeting with the Bourbon Mafia guys, he's added another 30, 40.
Well, there you go. I'm glad the love keeps going around. Bob, definitely thank you for joining us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Harmeet, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me back.
Always. Well, this is good old boy Mike asking you to join us once again and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip Suds and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.